Ecology, the study of the interaction between living and non-living things. Ecology all begins with an organism, which is a living thing. The example we're going to see is of the fox. So an organism can be represented by one single fox. A fox is a living thing. But is an organism the sun? No, the sun is non-living and is not an organism. So to recap, an organism is one living thing. But if I wanted to make an organism fit the definition of a population, I'd have to change a few things. I'd have to add more foxes to this picture because a population is a group of the same organisms. So a population would be a group of foxes all living together. But would one single rabbit be a population? No, a rabbit by itself is an organism. A group of rabbits would be a population. So to recap, a population is a group of the same organisms living together. But if I wanted to make a population a community, we'd have to change a few things. In a community, you still have the population of foxes, but you also have other populations that the fox might come across. A population of rabbits, a population of snakes, even a population of birds. And don't forget, plants are living things too. A population of trees also help to define a community. A community is many populations. So a community includes all the populations in an area. But would a fish tank be an example of a community? No, a fish tank includes living and non-living things. A community has all living things. So to recap, a community is of many populations living together. But if I wanted to make a community into an ecosystem, we'd have to add a few things. An ecosystem includes everything in a community and the non-living things, like sunlight, cloud, rocks, mountains, and temperature. An ecosystem is living and So let's review. An ecosystem includes all the living and non-living things in an area. Would water be an ecosystem? No, water is just one non-living thing. Now, sometimes in an ecosystem, organisms compete or fight for survival. In this ecosystem, the fox could versus the snake when they fight for rabbits. Another example of competition could be the big tree versus a small plant as they fight for sunlight. And all of this is taking place in ecosystems around you.
In this video, we are going to look at a few key words that you will come across throughout ecology. Let's start by looking at the whole thing, the ecosystem. An ecosystem is made up of all the communities that live in it, every single organism from big to small, and lots of environmental factors like sunlight, shade, the woodland, streams, and other things. An ecosystem is defined as a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. A habitat is an area or environment in which an organism naturally lives. So, the woodland in this example. It describes the geographical area occupied by the ecosystem, whereas the ecosystem is the interactions between everything living within it, as well as the non-living factors. Populations are all members of the same species in the habitat at one time. While populations describe just one species, a community is all of the organisms in multiple species that coexist in the habitat at one time. So the community is the foxes, rabbits, insects, plants, fungi, and everything else living in the woodland. A niche describes the role of a species within an ecosystem. So a bee's role is to pollinate the flowers. The rabbit's role, or niche, is to be a small grazing prey animal with a very high reproduction rate, which supports many predators in the ecosystem. A species is a group of potentially interbreeding individuals, which do not normally reproduce with other species to produce viable, fertile offspring. So here in our woodland, we have foxes and rabbits that are clearly different species. But we may also have a few different species of butterfly. Maybe one lives on the outside of the woods and likes light, while another lives deeper in the wood. And because they prefer different areas of the wood, they don't interbreed. We will look at what it really means to be a species in another video, and we'll also revisit all the words throughout ecology. For now, you just need to know the difference between a habitat and ecosystem, a population and a community, and how species have a niche within the ecosystem.